Good morning, welcome to our presentation. So, before we start our presentation, let us introduce ourselves. My name is San Kabelan, and next to me is,
I'm Maxi Colin.
and then we will present about code switching, code mix, and code crossing. So the next turn I will give to Maxi to explain about the code switching and code mixing. So Maxi, time is yours.
Okay, thanks for the times given to me. Now, uh, I want to explain about our material about code switching, code mix, and code crossing. Uh, and before I explain about the code switching, uh, the first I uh, explain about understanding code. So the term code is used to refers to one of the variants in the linguistic hierarchy. So next is code switching. Code switching is a transition event from one code to another. For example, speaker using Indonesian switch to using Japanese. Code switching is one aspect of language dependence in a multilingual society. In a multilingual society, it is very difficult for an absolutely speaker to only use one language. In code switching, each language still tends to support their respective functions and each functions according to its context. Apple provides limitations on code switching as a symptom of switching language use due to changing situations. Suito divides code switching into two, namely the first, external code switching. When switching language, such as switching from Indonesian to English or vice versa, and the second, internal code switching. If the code switching is in the form of variant switching, such as from Java, Ngoko changes to grammar. Some of the factors that cause code switchings are the first, speaker. A speaker sometimes deliberately switches the codes to the speech partner for a purpose. For example, changing the situations from official to unofficial or vice versa. The second, speech partner. Speech partner whose linguistic background is the same as the speaker's usual switch codes in the form of variant switching, and if the speech partners with different linguistic backgrounds tends to code switching in the form of language switching. The third, presence of a third speaker. The naturalist the situations and respect the presence of a third interlocutor. Speakers and interlocutors usual switch codes, especially if their linguistic backgrounds are different. And the fourth, talking points. The subject or topic is the dominant factor in determining the occurrence of code switching. Formal topics of conversation are usually expressed in standardized manner, in a natural and serious style, and informal topic are conveyed in non-standard language, slightly emotional style, and casually. The fifth, to evoke a sense of humor, usually done by switching variants, switching varieties, or switching style of speech. And the sixth, just to be prestigious. Although situations factors, interlocutors, topics, and socio-situational factors do not expect code switching occurs so that it appears that there is coercion unnatural and tend to be uncommunicative. Okay, that's all about understanding code and code switching. So now I will give chance to my brother Sam Kabelen uh, continue to explain code mix and code crossing. So time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Maxi, for his explanation. So the next is I will explain about code mix. So code mixing occurs when a speaker who use a language determinedly support an utterance, and then with other language elements. This is usually related to the characteristic of the speaker, such as social background, education level, religious status. Usually, the prominent feature is relief or informal situation. However, it can happen because of language limitation, expression in that language have no equivalent. So there is a compulsion to use another language, even though it only supports on function. Code mixing includes linguistic configurations or linguistic configurations. The next, code mixing is divided into two, namely. The first one is mixed code into inter intercode mix, and the next one is quarter code mixing or mixed code from a foreign language. The background to the occurrence of code mixing can be classified into two, namely. The first one is attitude. The second one is language. The background is language limitation. So there are a reason for identifying rules, that is identifying varieties and waiting to explain or interpret. Thus code mixing occurs because of the reciprocal relationship between the rule of the speaker, the form of language, and the function of the language. Some form of code mixing is there are five, which is word intention. Insert a parse, clause insertion, insertion of the operands of item, and the last one is insertion of booster shape or combination or original and foreign formation. Okay, that is the explanation of code mixing, and the next one is code crossing. The term language crossing or code crossing refers to the use of a language which is generally thought to belong to the speaker. Language crossing involves a sense of movement across quite sharply felt social or ethic boundaries, and it raises issue of legitimacy that participants need to recount, which is in the course of the encounter. In line with this, in this Aldo sense, friendship groups were is studied crossing either occasions or was occasioned by movement and activities, which is the constant of the ordinary social order were relaxed and normal social relation couldn't be taken for granted. Okay, that is all about our explanation about code mixing, code switching, and code crossing. So that's all. Thank you for your great attention. May all that we share to you, it will be beneficial for all of us. That's all for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.